speaking here. And yeah, we just went live. I want to welcoming you to in our space, and also welcoming you in Canada. Uh,
Thank you.
I know that was a long journey to getting here for you. Is it your first time in Canada?
It's my second time.
Second.
I visited Toronto some time ago, a long time ago, in like 2009, I think.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
and yeah, it's my second time in Canada, so it's good. Good to be back.
Oh, that's nice. So we are welcoming you here, and especially when you will reach to Toronto and on our event, we are really grateful that you find uh, time to visit us, and not only visit and be speaker to give some insights to our audience. I know you one of the most knowledgeable person, especially into the Polygon network. And yeah, we have a lot of bunch of questions to you because not only I know that you have just on next week, I think you're gonna launch the Polygon ID, right? So it's a huge event
Yeah,
for you too. But
we're
first
gonna
of
do
all,
the rebranding. Yeah. Sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, can you please share us your journey, your experience? Did you get into the blockchain? How everything started for you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a computer engineer by background.
Yeah,
Grew up in Costa Rica. I started working in Procter and Gamble doing working in SAP systems, accounts payable, ERP type systems. I then moved on to a consulting company, doing some work for Intel. And then I did my master's in the States. I
yeah,
did an MBA at Georgia Tech. So I kind of mixed kind
nice.
of like business and technology a little bit.
Yeah,
I always wanted to mix the two. That was actually the first time that I was exposed, let's say, lightly to Bitcoin and blockchain. I had a friend who was a big time libertarian who, at the time, was very curious about Bitcoin, and he offered
yeah.
me to give me a few Bitcoins to experiment, but I didn't see the potential at the time. I was like,
Which
but it
year it
was
was?
so early, 2010 at the time. Uh,
Oh, yeah, I see.
and I was intrigued, but I wasn't intrigued enough. I just didn't understand. Like the problem was also that I didn't read the white paper. I took it more
I
as a
see.
political. It emerged more as a political type thing. I think at the time, and I didn't see
Yeah,
like it was like an anti-central bank type situation that I didn't really see. I didn't appreciate the technology and everything behind it as much. So I saw it as more political than
I
anything.
can feel it.
Um, but then yeah, I joined Deloitte after the MBA,
Yeah,
and I think in late 2015 I was doing some projects with digital banking, and
yeah,
I was exposed to blockchain in like a more serious way. And I
yeah.
was I read the white paper, like my mind was blown, like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah,
um, and yeah, that ever since then, I remember I was completely hooked. I attended the Consensus conference in
yeah,
back then it was in New York, not in
yeah,
Austin. And yeah, I was also exposed there to decentralized identity for the first time. I remember Tim Allen was talking about Identity 2020.
yeah,
Uport was starting to be formed at Consensus back then.
yeah.
So yeah, I was like very intrigued by the whole thing between identity and the blockchain,
Yeah.
but I just kind of left it there, and I was working in blockchain in the projects that I wanted, and I was going to return to Costa Rica at the end of 2016, but I had already made my mind that I wanted to work on blockchain. And so from there, I went back to Costa Rica. I joined some of the Bitcoin groups over there,
Yeah.
and I eventually helped to co-found the Costa Rican Blockchain
Yeah.
Association.
That also
So
were one of our question actually to hear more about the Ethereum Costa Rica. It sounds actually so tropical and exclusive to us. But yeah, please share to us as well, like how is the blockchain innovation runs in Costa Rica? Is there a lot of fans of it up there?
Yeah, there's a little ecosystem. I think that the main three areas is the San Jose, like Central
Yeah,
Valley, capital of Costa Rica, where there's like software development companies experimenting with blockchain, and there's also EY over there doing a blockchain development center. And then on the coast, you have a mixture of like digital nomads and tourists
yeah,
that have like just developed into like these small like blockchain, like I would say like beach towns that just have a lot of people
yeah.
working in blockchain. So in Santa Teresa and the Pacific side, there's a blockchain project called Nimic, which is a mixture of people from Germany and Costa Rica. It's very interesting, kind of mixed team.
Yeah.
And then in the southern Pacific, there's this really cool little town where they use Bitcoin a lot, and they're
Oh,
like very, very Bitcoin centric group of people that also got started because of tourism, kind of similar to what you see in El Salvador. Like they had Bitcoin
oh,
Beach,
yeah, the disconnect.
kind of this kind of feeling where there's tourists and stuff like that. So yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
also kind of interesting to look at. Yeah, so it's a nice little scene. There's a little bit of everything. Obviously, the capital is the most active, and we have regular
Yeah,
meetups, and we have what we call the crypto cantinas on Tuesday, where people go
nice.
to meet and network and so on. But yeah, there's a nice little ecosystem in Costa Rica.
Oh, this and how the government react on it? Like, do they trying to banning it or they allowing to build everything?
I think at the moment has been just kind of leave it be. Like they
Yeah,
haven't really cracked down on it. What the central bank has said is that it considers Bitcoin and crypto assets to just be like a good, like a almost like buying and selling using tomatoes. Like if I sold you a house with tomatoes, like that's how they see it. Like
yeah,
it's a good, so it's one good for another good. That's how they sort of see it. So
that's
yeah, for
cool.
now, I think it's sort of been there on like this gray zone that I would say. I think we're waiting to see what happens in the bigger countries, like
Yeah,
what the US will do with regulation, what Colombia and Mexico, which are kind
yeah.
of coming up with their own crypto regulation. Once that's a little bit more solid, probably Costa Rica will move around and get more regulation.
Oh, I see. And how is about the tax perspective? Do the government taxing cryptocurrencies?
Not right now, which is also interesting because some people are actually using that to their advantage,
Yeah,
selling the crypto in Costa Rica and buying real estate in
yeah,
tax free. Like you buy a house, like if you're a crypto, I'd say millionaire or something,
yeah.
you buy a house on the beach and it's basically tax free because you're using like I said, tomatoes for tomatoes. Like
Oh,
it's like
that's
a
really
one good for
interesting.
another good.
You know,
Yeah.
one of the most famous, I can say, real estate investment decision for Canadian, it's Costa Rica's, and I know that the real estate market also exploded for the last 3 or 4 years there. And yeah, that's quite valuable information actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If people want to invest tax free their crypto assets, Costa Rica's right now, for now, right? It might change in
yeah,
the future, not taxed for now.
yeah, that's quite good. So you started your journey into the blockchain as a developer.
Well, actually, I think I started more as like on the business side of it, because
Yeah,
when I was at Deloitte, I was already doing like business consulting type thing, kind of technology consulting. So, I mean, I still get involved in the technical stuff, obviously. Like I still like understand how everything works. I'm able to read Solidity. Like I can look at people's, node code on JavaScript and
yeah.
understand what's going on, but I don't think I'm a coder anymore. I
Oh, I
think
see.
I'm able to understand. I interact with developers on a daily
Yeah,
basis, like with the Polygon ID team. I open PRs sometimes to give them feedback on documentation and stuff like that.
I see.
But yeah, I'm not a coder at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, from my opinion, like everyone who involved in some blockchain startups should at least understanding the coding and technical part because yeah, that's everything about the hashes, transactions, and if you don't know, it's easily to at least fooling you.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a different dynamic, right? I'm doing business development, so I think I'm one of the more technical business developers, and the technology team looks at you differently because they know you can sort of see like both sides. You can see the business, but you can see the technical side. So, yeah, I think that's an important skill for people to have, like kind of be able to get a little more technical if you can.
Yeah. So you had experience to working in huge companies like you mentioned it before in Delhi. Is it shaped somehow your approach to develop to go into the blockchain, or how it was? How you get it like exactly into the blockchain and Polygon Lab?
Well, yes, when I was at EY, um,
Yeah,
I remember there was a conference in New York, and the folks from Polygon were there.
yeah,
And that's actually how I started like talking to them about jobs and things like that. I
yeah,
mean, I think there's sort of a cultural difference, obviously, between like a blockchain startup versus
yeah.
like a formal
It
consulting
is. Yeah,
company. Like, yeah, there's a lot more, let's say, rigidity and process and just a different mindset when you're at a consulting company as whereas you're in a blockchain startup. It's a very different mindset, right? So in the
yeah,
consulting company, you're basically looking to understand what the market has, the various companies, and map the ecosystem and provide advisory to your clients. And in the blockchain startup, you're basically trying to sell people on using your platform, right?
yeah,
If you're a blockchain company, you're basically looking to sell blockchain space. In our case, we're looking for people to use our identity technology on top of an EVM blockchain. So, yeah, it's kind of a different mindset. There's pros and cons to both. You know, there's a lot of freedom to do more things on the blockchain startup, clearly.
yeah.
But that also comes with, a lot of responsibility and
Of
knowing,
course.
having a good sense of what to do. So it's
Well,
an interesting challenge. Yeah.
especially what you're doing, I think it's like one of the most important solutions which should be released and using in the by using the blockchain. And I really hope to see one day the Polygon ID on using for passports for government. And I'm pretty sure that it's gonna happen. And yeah, the responsibility is really huge, especially like people start caring about the identity in the age of AI now, and that's really important. How can Polygon ID resolving this problem actually about the identification with AI? Is there some solution? Are you thinking to launch some solution about it?
We are right now in the process of
Yeah,
coming up with better standards for what we call proof of humanity.
oh,
Basically, having a standardized schema credential that
yeah,
attests to someone being a human. How you prove that somebody is a human? There's a variety of ways, right? Some
yeah,
people use the camera, some people use the biometrics, some people actually make other people vouch for you to say that you're a human. But unlike WorldCoin, we see like the market being open to a variety of ways of
yeah,
of attesting that you're a human, as opposed to just like one way with the biometrics like WorldCoin does, right? I think having a flexible approach is kind of like our strategy for this. And I think it's going to be more and more relevant to show that you're a human in the coming months, right? You can already see the AI generated content and how you can attest to something being generated by a human being will be more relevant.
yeah,
In the AI space, we also starting to see a lot of movement around standards for AI agents. So, like just credentializing an AI agent with the credentials and saying what kind of attributes they have is also going to be important because there will be variety of AI providers, right? So some
yeah.
AI providers may have a different specialty or focus area versus others. And so it starts to be more relevant to be able to credentialize what AI system generated what content.
Oh, that's really interesting. So, can you please explain a little bit more about the Polygon ID itself and what is the difference between it and other identity solutions?
Yes, absolutely. So Polygon ID is essentially just like a set of tools that you can use
Yeah,
to create credentials assigned to users. So
Yeah.
the ecosystem is composed of three actors. One is the issuer of credentials, which could be an employer, it could be a university, it could be
Yeah.
a government entity, could be even yourself giving a credential to another person.
Yeah.
The second actor is the holder of credentials, and the third actor is the verifier or the consumer, what people
Yeah.
call the relying party. What we provide is all of the tools for all of these three actors to be able to interact using what we call verifiable credentials.
Yeah.
Verifiable credentials are credentials that live inside your device, inside your user wallet, that you can hold and you can control to see who has access to what data. So if I wanted to show you that I am a graduate in computer science, I
Yeah.
would have a educational credential and I would be able to show to you
Yeah.
which credential I have, what year I graduated, and so on. What is unique about Polygon ID is that not only can you have your verifiable credentials in your identity wallet, but you can reveal attributes about that using privacy, using what we call zero knowledge proofs. So, for instance, I would be able to show that I am a graduate of a computer science degree without telling you what year I graduated, what university I graduated from, and just revealing a yes or no answer that I graduated or not, right? Or I could show you that I'm over 18, for instance, using an identity credential, or I could show you that I have a credit score in a specific range using a range proof. So this is a little better than just handing over the data directly, right? When you
Yeah.
hand over the data directly, you lose a lot of privacy, right? So using this approach of zero knowledge proofs, we think like the privacy and the anti-tracking is enhanced.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting technology. We have an ecosystem of issuers
Yeah.
that can you can get credentials from. Some allow you proof of humanity credentials, others allow you to have educational credentials or even social credentials, right? So there's a variety of providers, and also there's a variety of wallet providers, right? We
Yeah.
provide our own wallet, but there's a variety of wallets also in the ecosystem. So it's in the end, it's an open ecosystem of companies that are issuing and consuming credentials.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And especially with upcoming Polygon updates with the egg, and like it's gonna be useful for all layer two and not only layer two protocols. Can you please give us an example, like some simple example of using Polygon ID, let's say for some bank?
Yes, actually, today we have a few banks using Polygon ID.
Yeah.
The most popular one is HSBC. They're
Oh,
actually using Polygon ID for customer data portability across subsidiaries.
oh, I see.
So if you're a customer of HSBC in Hong Kong and you go to Singapore, you're able to port over your credentials from one country to another using their kind of verifiable credential approach that uses our technology.
Oh,
We also have DigiShares, who's an asset tokenization company in Europe. They're
yeah.
building an identity tokenization framework for real estate and so on using us.
Oh,
We also recently came up with a report from Deutsche Bank, who completed a proof of concept using us for a KYC information using CKKYC. And we have four other banks that are also building with our technology. So
so it,
yeah, it's a growing ecosystem. Yeah, there's
yeah.
a variety of use cases.
So it's quite useful for banks, especially, right? They're really interesting into it. Well, I
Yeah,
hope you're gonna get some deals with some Canadian banks as well. Actually, in our event, we're gonna have several workers from management team of RBC Bank, so they definitely have to hear you.
okay.
And um, you mentioned it before that uh, it could be used for the real estate as well, right? To identity. So it's not only for humans identifications. It can be goods as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the case of the tokenized assets for real
Yeah,
estate, typically what we credentialize is that both the buyer and the seller of the tokenized asset are KYC.
yeah.
But you could also tokenize businesses as well. You could do what is called a KYB or Know Your Business, where you actually provide a
Oh,
credential to a business. to say that they completed a due diligence check on the business. So that is also possible to do like a KYB. But yeah, you can think of other examples. Some people have been thinking about doing it for pets, where if you get
For
a
pets?
vaccination,
Whoa.
that could be a verifiable credential, right? And you,
Yeah,
on behalf of the pet, can kind of act upon controlling their identity.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's some interesting use cases like that where it is not necessarily a human that is behind the credential. Yeah, you can think of AI bots and similar where you could have credentials, uh, or where they have an identity wallet just like a human would.
Oh, that's nice. So it can be used not only by some governments and companies, but also for like individual users as well, right? Is it
Yeah,
open to everyone to using it?
it's open, right? So right now you can go to polygonid.com. You can
Yeah.
download our application, and basically you have the wallet in your device, and you're able to collect credentials from the various issuers in the ecosystem. We're also going to have a web wallet, which is easier so that you don't have to download an application and you just use your email or use your Ethereum key to sign in and create your wallet.
Oh, that's really nice. And yeah, I saw your solution and I'm following it up. And yeah, I can say it's really comfortable and user friendly. I really like how it looks like and what the meaning has, the identity, and how important it is in our age in whole internet, not only in the blockchain solutions. All right. Um, can you please just share a little bit more if some businesses want to get into the Polygon ID, what they have to do and
Yeah,
how using it?
yeah. Right now, all of our software is open source, so we
Yeah.
actually don't charge for usage of the software. And you can just go to polygonid.com and look at our developer docs and be able to get started. We do offer also an ecosystem page where you can be listed if you have implemented Polygon ID. So for that, you can go to the contact us section of the website, and we will get in touch with you to be adding you to the ecosystem in case you have developed a solution or are thinking of developing a solution. So yeah, it's basically free to just use the technology. There's no charge for it. We are also enabling some features for paid credentials in the future. So you can think of credentials where you issue the credential to the user, but it's in an encrypted form, and then when somebody consumes or verifies that credential, you will get paid for having issued that credential. This could be interesting, for instance, for banks, where they can monetize the KYC information that they issue. And it could be like an interesting way of kind of issuing credentials, but still being able to generate some revenue from them for users. So
Oh, that's really nice. So everyone who wanna try or just have it, just to check if he needs to use the Polygon ID, we will share the link as well. And yeah, we're gonna waiting also to hear more about from Otto as well. And
yeah,
um, can you please share a little bit about your business development work and some suggestion for our students and just for young people who want to be professional business developer in the blockchain space? Because as you mentioned it's really different from like typical consulting or just a web 2 businesses. What's
yeah.
your
I
suggestion
mean,
to learn and how to be?
yeah, I mean, my role is kind of a mix of both technology and business. Like you
Yeah,
said, like I start the conversation making the pitch about what our technology can do and sort of like the possibilities and the use cases. And I understand sort of like the customer's situation, like what requirements they have, what pain
yeah.
points they have. And then I shift into, okay, like this is what kind of solution you could have. And I start getting also into the technical side, once we get past the initial sort of pitch of the solution. Um, so I think it's important to have a mixture of both business and technical skills to be able to succeed in this type of environment. And also to understand that there's always an intersection between your original profession and blockchain,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to have like the full technical skills, although it helps, right? I'm not gonna lie, it helps.
Okay.
But there's always an intersection between, the law and blockchain, or marketing and blockchain, or civil engineering and blockchain, right? There's always an intersection where you can find a kind of the overlap between your profession and how blockchain applies in that context. There's a really good book on this that kind of lays out like various business use cases. It's
Oh,
it's a little technical at the beginning just to get you to some of the basics, but it is very much a business book. It's called Blockchain Revolution by Don Tapscott. I would
oh,
really recommend folks to check out that book. It is a great intro book for blockchain. It starts it from the business standpoint and takes you through understanding it up to a certain technical level, but it doesn't go too deeply. So it is very accessible, and I think
yeah.
that is a good book. And also, in addition to other courses on Udemy, Ethereum Basics, and others that you can use to kind of sharpen your skills on this. And I think it's important to kind of look at that intersection, right?
Yeah.
Uh, don't assume that you just because you studied, I don't know, HR, that there isn't something that intersects with marketing. There's something there. There is verifiable credentials. There's NFTs for employment
Yeah.
verification. There's all kinds of interesting intersections between traditional professions and blockchain.
Yeah, for most of people, I think it's sometimes too difficult to be flexible in your visuality to implementing the blockchain solutions, the innovations into like from first sight, it's typical and traditional works. All right, can you please? Do you have any time to following updating to the other projects? And if yes, what is your favorite project into the blockchain space?
Whew, yeah, right
Yeah,
now it is.
of course,
Yeah,
Polygon in your project is the first,
Polygon is the
but
favorite, right?
yeah, but after it, what comes up?
I mean, I really like what the Ethereum name service is doing, the folks
Yeah,
from ENS. I think
yeah,
it's an interesting space where they're moving away from just enabling you to have the name for your wallet, the friendly name, and they're actually going to develop the layer two, which will be interesting to see what that all looks like, and hopefully it also makes having the ENS service names a lot cheaper.
yeah,
So I'm following that up. Yeah, also just looking at the whole like scaling situation between the L2s, although I love Polygon,
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of interesting approaches out there to see who creates this like interconnectivity, right?
yeah,
We have the aggregation layer in Polygon. The folks from Optimism have the super
yeah,
chain. The CK Sync folks also have their own interconnectivity. I think where there's so much fragmentation, somebody will have to come up with a like an interesting solution to be able to um, figure this out. And then another thing that I'm following up very closely is just the whole DeFi tokenization situation.
yeah.
Like I follow Uniswap a lot closely. I'm trying to see
That's
what
good.
the incumbent players, the established banks and asset managers will do to start to get into this space.
Yeah,
So it's an interesting thing that I've been following as well. Like the asset tokenization is one area that I'm really curious about as well.
yeah, that's really important. Me too. I'm really fan of DeFi and Uniswap, of course, and Polygon also. I really see huge potential to this year on the Polygon. Or what's your thought regarding rebranding of Matic to Poly? Do you like it?
I mean I think it's probably a good thing in the
Yeah,
sense of aligning the name of the token a lot closer to the name of the
yeah,
blockchain. But honestly, we've sort of kept it in halt right now because I think they're trying to harmonize the CKEVM with the
yeah,
Polygon proof of stake and also with the rest of the um, the blockchains that use our CKEVM stack. So I think it's a good thing from a branding standpoint.
yeah,
I just worry that we do it in the right way and giving people enough time to exchange their tokens, right?
yeah. All right. And Your opinion regarding AI on blockchain. Is it something dangerous or just what's your vision of it, future of these kind of projects like decentralized AI, let's say?
Wow. Um, I mean, I'm really curious to see what people come up with. We've had the automated trading bots for some time.
Yeah,
That's an interesting space to be in to look at where people are able to develop. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I've also heard a lot about the what they people call CKML, like
Yeah.
zero knowledge machine learning, where it
Oh,
enables you to do verifiable computation using zero knowledge.
yeah.
So you could essentially trust that a third party did the work correctly as opposed to taking their word for it. So people like
Oh,
right now, you use Amazon or you use Azure, but you're trusting that they're doing their work correctly. Like the computations that are done are verify, like you don't verify that they are the correct results, right? So with this zero knowledge compute that I see out there, it could be an interesting way to increase the assurance of computation out there. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens. Also, I think honestly, there's a lot of hype around AI and blockchain mixes.
yeah.
We'll have to see what really sticks, what really works. So yeah,
Yeah, of course. No, of course, like there is some project gonna fail, some they're gonna scale, and from my opinion, Polygon is one of the project who already stick around and gonna scale, become like a father of all layer twos for Ethereum, and that's the future of the Polygon as I see. All right, are you using some AI tools by yourself?
yeah. At the moment, I've been using a Chat GPT,
Yeah.
Gemini from Google. And on certain occasions, I have been using Grok on X just for
Oh,
the
I
fun of
see.
it because it is very funny. It's a very funny like AI agent. It
Yeah.
doesn't take itself too seriously. Um, and it's interesting also to see like the differences. If you try something on ChatGPT, the output you get on Gemini is different, and also the output you get on Grok is different because they're all trained on different data.
Different.
So uh, yeah, I've been playing around with it. I think between ChatGPT and Gemini, I use them the most. Grok I just use for fun sometimes. But yeah.
I see. That's cool. Can you please share a little bit regarding your speech on our upcoming event on 15th of June in University of Toronto? What is gonna be about and what's insight the audience gonna get from you?
Yeah, so I will be introducing some of the base elements of self-sovereign identity
Yeah,
and going through some of the base concepts of self-sovereign identity. I'll be also reviewing the layer model of
yeah,
SSI, and then I'll also be talking about some relevant use cases going on right now, including in British Columbia, the US as well, and
yeah,
the European Union with the IDAS. These are kind of interesting projects to follow. And then in addition, I'll also be sharing how you can do like zero knowledge with SSI. So how you can do self-sovereign identity, but you can
yeah,
maintain privacy using our technology that we have at Polygon ID. So with that, I hope users will be a little more informed about verifiable credentials, self-sovereign identity, which are trends that are going to happen, and then how they can start to think about verifiable credentials and how to apply them in their particular, business situations.
yeah. Can you please share to us a little bit more about the self survival identity and its use case in the Web3?
Yeah. So self-sovereign identity actually started before even blockchain was around.
Yeah,
It was sort of a response to, how we have so many Web2 platforms kind of owning and exploiting users' data without their consent.
yeah,
And it was this idea of giving users control of their data and
yeah,
controlling who and what level of data they share with third parties. This kind of initiative, started around 2005. And then around when the time the blockchain came around, they also started to think about leveraging blockchain ecosystems for SSI, particularly because blockchains have this neat ability for you to write something and not erase, right? So
Yeah,
because of the traceability, you can have, kind of the issuer keys for the credentials announced on the blockchain. Right now, particularly in the blockchain space, the main use cases are proving a KYC to third
yeah,
parties and DeFi platforms. That is a popular use case. It is still not very widespread because the regulation is still not very
yeah,
clear around what level of KYC you need to do. The other use case that's different that I'm seeing is in the DAO space, like these
yeah,
online cooperatives called DAOs, where you can prove that you are a human and you can vote just one time using our self-sovereign identity solutions for that. So that enables people to, limit how much bots are on these
yeah,
DAOs, which is a common problem that you have people with
yeah,
multiple blockchain addresses kind of voting on the community initiatives and
yeah,
kind of overtaking the rest of the folks. So with this, you can do what we call one person, one vote type situations. Um, so I think both of those use cases are interesting in Web3, and as
yeah.
people become more comfortable with this, you'll start seeing more use cases where you can use SSI and verifiable credentials.
Yeah, and it's really nice that you made these kind of solutions really easy accessible to anyone, and eventually for analyzing it to monitoring for credentials of our different wallet addresses. That's quite important, I know, for most of projects, especially new projects who coming up in the space.
Yeah,
Well,
what you don't want to do is to redo
yeah,
KYC for every place that you go, redo it all the time, scan your face,
yeah,
scan your identity document, right? It can get very tedious when you have
yeah.
many different sites that ask you to do the same over and over.
All right. Um, Otto, thank you for your time. Uh, I'm really excited to learn more from you regarding the Polygon identities on the chain. And don't forget to join us on 15th of June at University of Toronto to learn more from Otto and other speakers as well. We are welcoming everyone. And yeah, have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to the event on Saturday. Will be great to be there.
Nice. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.